Welcome to FRC Media News for Thursday, October 24th, 2019. I'm Keith Tebow. We get an update today on the likelihood of Mayor Correa being tried on his federal indictments next February. And we'll begin to hear from candidates running for the Fall River School Committee and City Council. But first, let's check in with the news headlines of the week. We bring in Phil Devitt, the digital news editor at the Herald News. Phil, how are you?
I'm doing just fine, Keith. How are you?
I'm well. So let's get to that top story that I mentioned. You guys in the online version of the paper today have a story that since the mayor's recent indictment back in September, in all likelihood, because of the discovery and the evidence in that second set of indictments, that it may be unlikely that the mayor will face a court date for a trial on his original indictments from a year ago in February. Tell us what we've learned.
Yeah, so, all summer long we were thinking that February 2020 would be the start of the mayor's criminal trial, and then, of course, he was arrested for a second time in less than a year on September 6th. And we all sort of knew that might change things. But today comes a joint memorandum filed by U.S. Assistant Attorney Zach Hafer and David Tobin, along with Mayor Correa's defense attorney, basically saying, look, February 24th is probably out of the question because of two factors. One being the recent indictment of Genevieve Andrade, the mayor's former chief of staff, and the fact that there are 74,000 pages of discovery to sort through now.
Right.
There's a lot to do, and not a lot of time to do it if you're looking at a February timeline. So we don't know yet if the judge will grant this request basically being made by the attorneys. We do know that a status hearing has been set for December 9th. We're awaiting word from the judge on whether or not this delay, so to speak, will go through.
Right. So, there's always, we had talked about this even, I think, back after the second set of indictments, the fact that there's more charges against the mayor and that in all likelihood there may be a delay with that February 24th court date.
Right.
And I'm kind of wondering if all the charges, because it's one lumped in indictment now of 24 charges against the mayor, as to whether the protocol in federal court is to try all those at once, or is there a way you can split those up? I don't know if you have the answer to that.
We don't know that for sure yet. It looks like right now everybody's looking at this as one giant case, an enormous case at that, to be sure. But there's a lot of new homework on the table when there was already a lot to begin with. I think there were 18,000 pages of discovery in the case against Correa initially with his arrest on wire and tax fraud charges, and now you've got a bunch more. So there's some people that I think lesser experienced individuals might be overwhelmed about, because 74,000 pages is a lot. But basically what they're saying is they just need some time to process this, and we might see a trial start a little bit later in 2020 at this point. And of course, Keith, the investigation is ongoing.
Right.
The prosecutor noted that earlier this year. So, could there be more coming? Sure. We don't know that for certain, but the investigation is active from what it appears.
Right, we'll just have to wait until that December 9th court date, which we may be able to learn more. The other item I want to bring up this week is back in the City Council this week, the talk of the Streetscapes program. There was a motion, I believe, by Councilor Pamela Liberty LeBeau to actually have funds that have not been dispense of projects that are yet to come for streetscapes, that those be not allocated at this time and used for other purposes. But it looks like at least the projects for now are going to keep going, and the council didn't outright accept that motion, but they're going to send it to Finance Committee for more inspection.
Yeah, I think what we were calling this here in the newsroom, and I think our reporter Jo Good even put it in her lead, is that this is not dead on arrival, as it was looking to be for some time. Of course, these, you hear the word streetscapes, and there's some unfortunately negative connotations that come along with that now in the city due to cost overruns, concerns over the quality of the work being done in previous examples. Now you've got a slew of other proposed work on Columbia Street, North and South Main Street,
right.
Rock Street, which, had the potential to be squashed altogether, but now they're being moved to the Committee on Finance for further discussion. City Planner Bill Roth telling us this week that the city wants to do this the right way, and that's also the feeling of the council. And so now it's just going to take a little more scrutiny to make sure that these projects get done in an efficient and quality manner.
Right, and who knows what's going to happen after the election, which less than 2 weeks away. 2 weeks from now, we'll be talking about the results of the election. I want to thank you, Phil, for taking part in our City Council forums last night, and we'll be talking about some of those items upcoming in the newscast today. But until that time, what's coming up at the paper?
Well, you said it, Keith. Election. We've got a lot of election stuff in the works, and I think I'll leave it at that. Well, you know what we do have? We have, there's so many people in this race, and I think that last night, this City Council forum was a great example of that. We have a bunch of candidates for school committee and City Council. We have a bunch of profiles of those candidates going up on our website this week, so you can learn more about them there.
That's what it's all about, getting informed before you vote. Okay, Phil, we'll talk next week. Take care.
Thank you, Keith. Talk soon.
We'll have more FRC Media News after this.
Here are some job descriptions on the latest hot jobs list from the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center. Cable Splicer Apprentice. National Grid is looking for a full-time cable splicer apprentice to assist the underground crew in the installation, pulling, removal, and maintenance of cable and equipment in the Fall River area. Job number 127-46712. Activities Assistant, Crawford Health and Rehab Center, located at 273 Oak Grove Avenue, is looking for a full-time activities assistant to organize and implement activities in the rehab center. Job number 127-49700. Bank Teller, Santander Bank, located at 141 North Main Street, is looking to hire a full-time bank teller responsible for handling customer financial transactions for the bank. Job number 127-44925. St. Anne's Hospital, located at 795 Middle Street, is looking to fulfill the following full and part-time positions. Nursing Assistant, job number 127-31029. Registered Respiratory Therapist, job number 127-31066. Associated Home Care, located at 986 Plymouth Avenue, is also looking to fulfill the following full and part-time positions. Care Companion, job number 127-49504. Hospice Case Manager, job number 127-46215. For more information on these or other positions, visit masshireJobQuest.detma.org or call the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center at 508-730-5000.
Welcome back. FRC Media sponsored candidate forums this week featuring the candidates running for school committee and city council. During the school committee forums, candidates were asked which programs they would add and or delete from a school department budget.
I would add all-day pre-K services to all families who are interested in taking part in pre-K programs. As you know, right now it's a lottery, and we do have some families that have been left out. The one program, if you wanted to call it a program, but it's more of a student policy, as I said in the debate last week, I would eliminate the use of cell phones at the elementary and middle school level during school time.
I would eliminate would be the Bridge program at Durfee. I think that we've all known for several years that the program hasn't been working very well. So we've, instead of getting rid of it, we've morphed it into something different. We've changed it around a little bit, but I do think there needs to be an overhaul at Durfee High School with the Bridge program in particular. Along that same vein, I do think we need to increase, a program that I would increase is alternative education. We have too many students that go to high school right now that basically all schools, but it mainly manifests itself at the high school, that they are not able to be in a regular classroom. We need to have other options. It's not a one-size-fits-all school, and ultimately, Durfee High School is struggling. I think we need to make some improvements, but I would increase alternative education.
As I stated last week, I agree with Tim in some aspects with the cell phone policy. I currently believe that I don't think cell phones should be allowed at all in any of the schools, K through high school, and the program that I think that I would add is something to create a home to school gap with the pre-K through 3 kids to try to instill the need to bring parents from home into the education of our students.
I agree with Mr. Aguiar that I think the bridge program is one that we've identified as an area we probably could do better in utilizing the resources that we have at the high school to assist students that are currently in that bridge program. I personally would like to see that relocated down to our RPA program. I think those resources would be better suited in that environment. I know we've tried to accommodate the students at the bridge at the high school for a number of years now. We just don't seem to be getting the traction, and I think the numbers have dwindled. And as a result, we're pouring in resources that I think would be better served if we relocated the programs. One that I would add, I've talked about this, I believe it was last week at a previous forum, but I really think there's funding out there and available. Talking with Senator Roderick for a mental health clinic. I think the needs in our district are profound when it comes to students who are coming to school day in and day out who are dealing with social and emotional issues. So I'd like to see us adopt an in-district mental health clinic for services to provide additional support.
I'd have to check out, I agree with what Mr. Aguiar said and what Mr. Costa said about the bridge program, but having not been there in about 4 years as an elected official on the school committee, I'd like to maybe talk to the superintendent and the folks at the bridge program to see where the faults are and where they're lying right now. And then I could maybe come to some kind of decision, and that goes for all other programs as well. The program that I would add, I agree with Mr. McCoy, it is absolutely the pre-K program. I'd like to make it a citywide program. I'd like to see the Student Opportunity Act pass, hopefully in the next 2 or 3 weeks with the House of Representatives. It's a game changer. It's going to add $15 million to our budget over the 7 years, and we can absolutely expand the lottery program as it is now to a citywide program.
I don't have one at this time that really bothers me enough for me to want to say, let's get rid of it. Now, I've heard rumblings about the bridge program. I've heard differences and discrepancies of different programs, but nothing comes to mind right away. One thing I would like to add, though, for everyone in the schools is I'd like to see CPR AED training as a high school requirement for graduation. I'd like to see all of our students be able to leave high school not only with an education, but with the skills necessary to maybe save someone's life if they're in that particular instance and they're called upon to act. And
I think that Mr. Aguiar is very astute in naming the bridge program. When it got set up several years back, it never got supported properly, and it's been a difficult program to run efficiently ever since. There's new leadership in place, and we have been actively looking at it and making changes as we speak. It's not perfect, but there's a little bit of movement to improve it right now. CTE, Career and Technical Education, is a direction that I'd like to see the school department put a little bit more money and thought and programs into, because if we could identify kids at the middle school level who may be very proficient with hands-on education, we could really train them to become highly skilled.
We'll have more right after this.
Thank you for considering a homeless pet today. I hope you enjoy what you're about to see, and as always, please feel free to contact the shelter before coming down to make sure that the pets you're viewing are still available for adoption. We can be reached at 508-677-9154.
Hi, welcome to Hot Dogs and Cool Cats. Today we have Briar. Briar here, she's a 6-year-old short-haired tortoiseshell cat, and as you can probably tell already, she is very affectionate as she goes up and bumps the front of your TV screen there. She loves, like I said, to get attention. She'll go back and forth, she'll bump you, she comes up and oh my gosh, she has an incredible purr to her. You'd think that she had an onboard motor somewhere in her, the way that she purrs. She is pretty independent despite her affection. so you wouldn't have to give too much attention, but she does certainly love to receive it where she can get it. She would do well with children. She does okay with other cats. So if you'd like to meet Briar, you can come down to 300 Linwood Street in Fall River, Massachusetts at Forever Paws Animal Shelter.
Today we have Gray Lori and Not Lori. Not Lori is the cute little cockatiel you got going on here, who looks a little grumpy. And then we have Gray Lori, who's this little parakeet who is semi-friendly. He will let you stick your finger in there and you can go on, and he'll go on your finger just for a little bit. They eat cockatiel food and parakeet food. They love vegetables, fruits, except for strawberries. They haven't been too fond of those. If you're interested in coming to look at either of these two cuties, come on down to 300 Linwood Street in Fall River, Mass. and meet them today.
The candidates running for City Council met in two panels of a forum this week. One question before them was whether they felt that the awarding of letters of non-opposition for the establishment of marijuana dispensaries in Fall River should be handled by a committee rather than one person, in this case, the mayor.
Yes, I would support this measure. I think the state now is finding that they made a mistake when they gave sole authority to one individual to sign off on these licenses, not just because of what happened in Fall River. Fall River might have been a big part of it, but other communities were doing the same type of thing. Other communities were asking these people who wanted a letter of non-opposition to buy fire apparatus, to buy police cruisers, to fix up streets in their neighborhoods, do infrastructure repairs, and that's not fair to people that are going into that industry. We don't ask that of anyone else who's looking to start a business or bring a company to Fall River or any other community. So the state dropped the ball, and I understand that this is all new to us. It's new to the state, it's new to the communities. No one really knows how to go about it. I think what we should have probably done is put restrictions in place, like we did with the strip clubs, to make sure that they're not near the schools, they're not near the residential places, as we have right now with a lot of congestion over there, and make it safe for everybody to be able to get in, get out, and do what they need to do. But the state has to put more guidelines in place and regulations so that the sole authority does not fall on the one individual in any community, and it should be within the city council or selectmen or either other department heads brought together, have a board that will address where these are going to go and how they're going to be placed and how many you're going to have in the community. Right now we don't have any of that. It's unfortunate.
I also fully agree with that measure. I think part of the problem was we're on the forefront of the cannabis industry. And like anything else, we learn through sometimes trial and error and unforeseen problems. And no one could anticipate how things were going to roll out, how things were going to end up. We do have some businesses that perhaps are in jeopardy. Until everything follows its course, we won't know whether all 14 people should maintain their approvals or they shouldn't. And that, that's just some of the problems. I believe that the number one thing we need to do is zoning. I think zoning is very important. That was not addressed prior to people getting their letters of non-opposition, and it was not specifically determined where people could set up, where they can't. Because we're also going to be looking at cultivation and manufacturing. That's going to add another, I believe, another layer to the problems, and that's why I think zoning is important.
I do believe that with true leadership, the situation that was beforehand with the mayor deciding letters of non-opposition could have worked. However, hindsight being 2020, possibly a board could be appointed independently. I don't know exactly how that we would go about that. With true leadership, I think anyone could have made really great decisions for our city, putting our citizens first, and realizing that one of the first and actually most busy marijuana facility, I believe it's off of Commonwealth Street. There's sort of an overrun of traffic there. The folks that live there sometimes have a hard time, and I've found out through folks that do live there, have a hard time just getting home at the end of the day, which I think is terribly wrong, considering when you're done with work, you just want to get home, get to your family, have dinner, and spend time with your loved ones. So I think we need to definitely, like Michelle said, take a look at some of the issues of where they can set up shop, how they set up shop, and that we could have an independent board appointed, and how that would be done, I think remains to be seen.
Thank you. Mr. Springer.
Okay, yeah, so I'm going to definitely 100% agree on not one person having the power to hand out these letters. We kind of saw how that played out in the past few months. So having the city council have at least a 50% say in who's getting these letters, where they're going, putting the checks and balance in places to make sure they're not, near a school or near some sort of educational facility where children are seeing this. The other thing is, I want to touch on Mr. Malcolm's thing is that facility he's talking about, I happen to work about a stone's throw away from there. I drive by every single day. Traffic, is it a problem? Absolutely. Why is it a problem? There's only one selling recreational marijuana. So everybody from all over creation comes there. Supply and demand is economics 101. If there's more, people will get dispersed, just like a liquor store. Only one person sold it, they'd all be there. So with that being said, I think the thing that comes up a lot is capping them. I don't think capping them is a good idea. It's kind of like we don't cap other industries. Let the market kind of dictate how those things play out, and every single one of them is going to give the city money. Whatever ones survive, survive. Whatever ones don't.
Thank you. Mr. Tith.
Well, I think in the past, all our city official, we make a decision only by individual or by a group of people. For me, I would like to, moving forward, like just, get in whatever that is we have come into the city. If you view it by together as a city official, either city council or the mayor office, but I don't think that we should cap the permit license for it, because that's the revenue that is coming into our city right now, and we should do every time we have a business coming in, we should look into the bone zone to see if there's a school or if there's traffic high, because as we right now there's a lot of high traffic in the parking space and stuff. So I'm not opposed on that.
The Fall River City Council met this week and celebrated the accomplishments of longtime Executive Director of the Boys and Girls Club, Peter McCarthy.
I'm not into this kind of stuff, but I truly thank you for this honor. It means a lot. But I have to thank the people that make it really work, and that's the truly dedicated professional staff right up the street in Bedford Street who, as we speak, they're there with hundreds of kids, making sure they're safe. And also an even more dedicated board of directors. As all of you know, nothing good happens in the city without a good board. And I've been blessed to have both who get what their fiduciary responsibilities are at the club, and each and every day they just make sure that the children we serve are safe, number one, and are on their way to be productive citizens. And it's real quick, throughout my years at the club, I meet other executives at other communities throughout the state mostly, and they're amazed a lot at the support that our community gets. We don't get enough recognition of all the good that happens, not just at the club, but all over the city right now. Good things happen, and it doesn't happen without people giving back. And I know from our organization, business leaders, community leaders, and the individuals support the club. And Fall River is a community of giving, and we need to never forget that. And thank you very much. This means a lot. Hey, Jake.
The City Council also wants to recognize your service and your commitment to the Boys and Girls Club. That is where I was. The stop I made on my way here, my son gets off the bus and said, "The club's open now, Mom. Can I go?" So we dropped him off, and here I am. So ours says, "Be it resolved that the City Council hereby extends its commendation to Peter McCarthy, Executive Director of the Boys and Girls Club of Fall River, in recognition of a wicked long time of dedicated service." Ours is correct. Be it further resolved that the Fall River City Council extends best wishes for continued success and that this resolution be entered to the records of the City Council, and we had adopted this on October 8th. Congratulations.
Finally this week, some local sports news. The Bristol Community College men's and women's soccer teams have had an extraordinarily successful season, with the women's squad setting records for most wins during one season.
Talk to me what happened there the last minute or so.
That was a long 2 minutes at the end.
Yeah.
Had we survived that restart, it would have been real difficult 2 minutes. Well, unfortunately we made a bad foul late. We didn't defend it well. And we really shouldn't have put ourselves in that position. We didn't really, in the second half, I feel like we really sat back and protected the lead too much. I don't think we were as offensive minded as I think we needed to be late in the game or even in the whole half. And, territorially when, Rhode Island is, in our end 70% of the time in the second half, bad things are going to happen. And, we kind of had a bend but don't break attitude in the second half, and then we finally broke. And unfortunately, I think our energy dropped after they scored, and it led to the next one.
And obviously, I was rooting for you guys in my heart, but all game I was saying the Knights kept knocking on the door. They kept knocking on the door.
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
I kept saying to myself and saying to our audience, you keep knocking on the door, eventually you're going to break it down.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that last goal was just kind of apropos.
Yeah,
microcosm of the whole game.
Well, we defended for about 88 minutes very well. But one of the things that's hurt us this year is we've committed bad fouls in bad areas, and we've been very generous at times giving up soft goals. And unfortunately, those two negatives came back to hurt us. And listen, we're not saying we're the better team. The better team doesn't always win these games. I don't think that we were the better team. They're a Division I opponent, clearly the best team we've played this year. And, we certainly battled as best we could, but I don't think overall we were the better team.
Hawks lost. Both the men's and women's soccer teams are getting set for postseason play coming up in the next week. That'll do it for all of us here at FRC Media News. You can catch FRC Media News Thursdays and Fridays at 6 p.m. and online at frcmedianews.org. For all of us here at FRC Media News, I'm Keith Tebow. Have a great week. We'll see you next Thursday.